Subject 24X. Out of 86 test subjects strapped to a table in a Friend Industries lab, 85 of them pretty much died, and only one didn't get boiled like a gourmet lobster. That was Subject 24X, described by the Unnamed Scientist as scrawnier than I'd hoped, and the best we had, which is exactly the pep talk you want to hear right before someone opens your skull with a manual override. He was injected with a concentrated dose of element 75U, better known as moon juice, as part of what the scientists called decades of gene integration research. And somehow it actually worked. Subject 24X became the first viable superhybrid in over a century of failed augmentation trials. But the catch's friend never really wanted him as a soldier. They only wanted him as fertilizer. His blood, saturated with moon juice, turned out to be the missing ingredient in Project Phobos, the plan to artificially awaken planets by shooting them in the face with pink goo. So after Dr. Chen pieced this together and was promptly terminated for the crime of knowing too much, Subject 24X got tossed into a zero-gravity cylinder in the Friend pen to have the life drained out of him alongside the other harvested hybrids. Except for the fact that Subject 24X is like a Nokia phone. He can survive anything. A woman on a hacked Friendroid screen sprang him loose, pointed him at a ship called the Star Sparrow, and gave him one directive: bring down Friend. He moonhops to the Akron hybrid facility, gets a warm welcome from the Unnamed Scientist begging him to come back to the lab like a jilted ex, and squares off against his old squadmate David, who is now sporting 4 spider legs, glowing purple mind control eyes, and Subject 24X's original energy cannon strapped to his arm. He beats David unconscious, takes the cannon back, and chases the scientist through the ship, only to hear the same speech every corporate villain gives in the third act. Everything has already been set in motion, and there's nothing he can do to stop it. David, also known as the Wheel Soldier. David is one of the most tragic characters in the universe. He'd lost his legs before the story starts, watched his entire family die, and got rejected from the Stargoose program on the grounds that he wasn't hero material. He was ready to end it all right there, until a Friend Industries employee showed up, stopped him mid-jump, and offered him a mobility solution that turned out to be one mechanical wheel bolted to his waist. He gets deployed with the Umbra Corps in Episode 8 and immediately picks a fight with his squad about the wheel. While he starts off as someone completely unlikable, his redemption arc lands in Episode 9 when the squad gets cornered by 2 moon beasts. David chooses to stay behind and hold them off so his squad mates can reach Dr. Chen's lab. His last words really showed how much he's grown as a character, which would have been a perfectly dignified ending in any other show. Except in Episode 13, Friend digs him back up, replaces the wheel with 4 mechanical spider legs, straps Subject 24X's old energy cannon to his arm, gives him glowing purple mind control eyes, and points him at his former squad mate for a rematch. Unfortunately, he loses that fight too. Patrick Fisher. The Stargoose Academy produces a very specific type of man: cocky, mouthy, allergic to authority, dangerously overconfident in his own reflexes, and Patrick Fisher was the ideal. He captained Stargoose 6 through the Friend Gate on humanity's first jump beyond the cosmic rift, which sounds impressive right up until you find out he graduated 8th at Stargoose Academy and lists that as his top personal achievement. His backstory is genuinely tragic in a way the show does not let you forget. As a kid, he watched a moon beast throw his father off the family roof and unalive his mother in the most horrible way in their sunflower field after she just gave him his Uncle Richard's old helmet. Now, Fisher was seconds away from being killed himself before a Stargoose captain shot the thing through the head. With only the helmet to remember his family by, Fisher joined the program and learned that his Uncle Richard, apparently, was the greatest Stargoose captain to ever live. And so Patrick spent the rest of his life trying to be worthy of the memorabilia, which he wasn't really. Over the course of the show, he lets his first officer bed an alien princess within a few hours of first contact, complains about them not getting another room, and then has to help get the guy off the poles after the chief finds out his daughter violated the sacred Valari bond code overnight. He gets sentenced to moon sacrifice alongside his partner, but escapes on Stargoose 6 with friend GPT-9's help and taking the princess with them. However, Fisher is later forced aboard the Q-Thros. He eventually dies when a taxman plucks the lawn and the rear of the alien starship explodes, sucking him into the vacuum. His body drifts through open space until Stargoose 6 recovers it, which seems almost sentimental for about 30 seconds until Episode 15 reveals the actual reason. There is a room in the back of Stargoose 6, previously labeled Toilet C, containing multiple cryogenic Patrick Fisher clones. The Captain Continuity Protocol, it turns out, is a backup restore procedure, which still raises some genuinely uncomfortable questions about how many times this particular captain has been replaced, and whether his lifelong drive to live up to Uncle Richard was entirely his own or something Friend made sure every version carried. Dr. Chen. Dr. Chen ran a research outpost called Friend Post Gnosis 9 on the edge of the Umbra Zone, doing what he thought was standard scientific work on moon juice, right up until he started pulling threads he probably shouldn't have. Dr. Chen is obviously from the school of stereotypically dead scientists, because his last moments were a frantic recorded message where he's requesting immediate evac. An Umbra Corps rescue team gets dispatched to extract him, fights through Moon Titans and Moon Beast, and finally reaches his facility just in time for Chen to explain what he actually found. Anyone exposed to high levels of moon juice, soldiers, workers, survivors, the entire Umbra Zone populations, was being harvested for something called Project Phobos. Moon juice, it turns out, was fertilizer, meant for growing planets, and Friend Industries had been running the whole operation for over a century. He gets about 2 sentences into the reveal before the Friend bot escorting the rescue mission executes him mid-sentence, complete with a delightful little override notification: objective updated, Dr. Chen terminated. In episode 14, Friend's marketing department retcons Chen's death into a promotional spot for Project Phobos, painting him as an Earth traitor and communist who was doing horrible crimes to the Friendstein asteroid cluster. Mr. Friend. Standing on a street corner in 1969, ranting about incoming cosmic gods and government cover-ups, was a man who happened to be 100% correct. Mr. Friend shows up in the second episode as a full-throttle street preacher, spreading the word about the awakened ones, cosmic beings who, according to him, have been chosen to arrive, and normal humans have been chosen to prepare for their arrival. His actual sales pitch is that the government is lying to everyone about what's happening. Chosen ones are being transformed all over the world, and everybody had better wake up before it's too late. Which sounds like the standard sandwich board Bible-thumping schizoid nonsense you'd walk past every day in downtown 1969. Except the moon really is about to open its eyes. The awakened ones really are on their way, and the chosen ones he's talking about are the moon-fected, humans whose faces get replaced with cosmic frequency copies of the moon itself and stop behaving like humans entirely. Friend GPT-9. The AI onboard Stargoose 6 is called Friend GPT-9, and it handles navigation, telemetry, translation, and threat assessment for the crew, which sounds normal right up until you realize its default problem-solving instinct is to suggest the humans die. When the crew first encounters the cephalopodon lunar progenitor, Friend GPT-9's proposed solution is to fly directly into her mouth and detonate the moon drive, describing this as an act for which Friend Industries would be eternally grateful. When Patrick objects, it clarifies that his objection has been noted, and Friend would still be grateful. Its favorite phrase across the run of the show is, "for the greater good." It is very possible that Friend GPT-9 is the actual protagonist of this entire show, and every human on board is a disposable meat puppet meant to be swapped out between clone cycles. Shyraan. First contact between humans and aliens goes about as well as you'd expect when the human involved is Patrick Fisher and his first officer. Shyraan is the chief of the Valari, the humanoid natives of a Class P planet called Thalan, and he greets the Stargoose 6 crew with genuine hospitality, shelter, a feast, and access to their sacred moon milk altar to resupply the ship. The Valari have been through their own version of the lunar impact. 2 of their moons, Bilius and Tegulus, crashed into the planet 1,000 generations ago and left the surface crawling with horrors ever since. A third moon was on its way too, but got shot mid-approach by an unidentified starship, and now hovers eternally above the surface, worshipped as their people's savior god. So Shyraan is, in every measurable way, being genuinely generous to a group of strangers his people would have every reason to shoot on sight. Unfortunately, his daughter takes a strong personal interest in Officer Price and initiates what the Valari call a sacred bond code over the course of one very awkward night. Shyraan does not take this well. By morning, he has the crew tied to poles and is preparing to sacrifice them to the third moon as an offering to stop the ground tremors plaguing Thalan. Tremors which, unbeknownst to him, are actually the planet waking up and about to eat everyone anyway. Friend GPT-9 stages a last-second rescue, kidnaps Shyraan's rebellious daughter into space along with the crew, and leaves Shyraan on the surface of his home planet as it opens its mouth to swallow him whole. Quit. Every science fiction show eventually rolls out the Elder Race, a species so ancient and advanced they've been watching humanity from the shadows for millennia, and the moon woke up drops them in during episode 12, Their full species name is absolutely unreadable, which no human being can pronounce, so their representative just goes by Quiff. Patrick immediately mishears this as Keith. Quiff is the welcoming officer aboard the Q-Frost, a starship advanced enough to snatch Star Goose 6 out of open space with an external mass lock and haul it in like a lost pet. His species evolved out of having legs long before humans figured out fire, which he mentions with the polite exasperation of someone explaining Wi-Fi to their grandmother. He escorts the crew to the Great Council, where the truth about the cosmic rifts finally gets laid out on the table. The rifts were originally designed by his species under threat of extinction from the taxman, the godlike hands that appear whenever a planet wakes up and pluck it away, for reasons still described only as unimaginable consequences. His people got their homeworld destroyed anyway, but before that happened, they secretly re-engineered the rifts to leave residual scars, hoping some other reckless species would be dumb enough to punch through and become the variable that could reverse the process. Congratulations, humans. In episode 15, when the taxmen retaliate and the Q-Frost gets torn apart, Quiff ends up floating in space with the POV protagonist. His proposed solution to their imminent death is to painlessly euthanize the human first and then self-terminate. Friend GPT-9 intervenes at the last second, evacuates them all onto Star Goose 6, and QTH becomes an unlikely stowaway aboard humanity's rolling clone storage facility. The Unnamed Scientist. Nobody at Friend Industries has taken the time to write down this man's name, which is a rare corporate oversight given how many people he's tried to kill on company time. The Unnamed Scientist runs Friend's hybrid augmentation lab, where the ratio of successful test subjects to boiled corpses is somewhere around 1 in 86. He introduces himself to Subject 24X in Episode 5. In Episode 13, he reappears at the Acheron Hybrid facility, hijacks Subject 24X's mission through the ship intercom, and delivers the standard villain monologue. Then he plays his ace and reveals that he's kept David alive as a mind-controlled weapon. But the real moral relativism arrives in Episode 14, where he tries to make peace with 24X mid-chase by explaining that Friend is not the enemy, they are the savior of humanity, and that the morality of the ungrateful masses is a privilege for those in the back seat. He also delivers what every stereotypical evil scientist says just right before they die, which is that not everything is black and white. He escapes at the end of Episode 14 on his personal spacecraft, and Subject 24X follows him into orbit, arriving just in time to watch Venus get shot in the face with a red laser from Deimos and wake up too. If you enjoyed this video, please click the like button and subscribe. Also, let me know what you want to see in the next video. I read all of the comments. Thanks for watching and see you in the next one.